welcome to Equine Business TV. Jenny here. I'm really glad that you are joining us today. And I am continuing my series of interviewing real equestrian business owners and business owners who work within the industry. And today we have got the lovely Laura from Laura V Photography. She's going to be talking about some tips for taking photos. She's going to be talking about her journey from being, from running a photography business and being a mum as well, because it's quite hard. It's really quite hard for any of you out there who are trying to juggle motherhood and business. This might be the episode for you. So stay tuned. But before you do so, do make sure you hit the bell to subscribe so that you don't miss another episode of Equine Business TV. And here is the show. Welcome, Laura, to the Equine Business Podcast. I'm really, really glad to have you here. So, for everybody that's never met you or heard about you, would you explain a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Okay, so I'm Laura from Laura V Photography, and I'm an equine, canine and country photographer, and I'm based over in Norfolk, and I cover all over the UK, and I mainly specialise with portraits of horses, but I'd like to expand that into the canine side of things, and hoping to do the pheasant shooting in the winter this year, so because last year I wasn't able to do that one because I'd just had a baby, so put a little blocker on that one.
Yeah, you've done quite a lot of photo shoots with dogs recently, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, I've got one coming up this Saturday actually that I'm doing, which is little mini shoots up at Norfolk Lavender is the place that I'm holding it for. As that kind of says, it's at the Lavender Farm. So it's just a nice backdrop for all of them there.
So what got you into like doing photography?
I was back at AS level actually. I failed kind of biology. I did a year of that and didn't quite work out, and then it was like, what can I take? And I was like the sound of photography, so I went into that, and that was back when it was doing film. So it was sort of like having to learn how to develop your own film and all of that kind of thing, mainly black and white at the time, and digital was starting to come in. And then it was like, well, actually, I really enjoyed this. And so I then decided to look at it. I'd heard a friend say they were doing it at college. So I then decided to look at the college course and went on and did a BTEC National Diploma in it. And then it carried on, and I was like, I really, really enjoy this. And so I went on to do a degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I did 3 years there. And while I was there, I combined, because I'd started riding when I was about 12. So I did it a bit later. But then decided to combine the two because I was missing it, and thought, I can do sort of equine photography. So this was back in 2009 that I got that. So it was a little while ago. But yeah, I sort of went into it through that and decided to combine my two passions, and it sort of formed then.
Yeah, that's and I think it's one of the things that a lot of people feel, that there's a lot of competition for equine photography. What's your thoughts around all the competition and lots of other photographers?
It's not a bad thing, really, because everyone then gets a choice. You've just got to make sure you look at the different styles of the photographers and make sure that that is the person that you wish to go with, because there's lots of other different things, but it's mainly the style that you need to sort of look at and just check that you get on with the photographer as well. Along with that, they're sort of main two things, really.
Yeah, because I know, like, we recently had a shoot as part of like the Nail It Mastermind, and so there was you and there was Laura Fidman as well, and it was really interesting to notice how different your style is. Do you want to tell everybody a bit more about like what you do as a photographer?
I'm more about natural side of things. So I just sort of like generally say, okay, can you just position yourself a bit closer to the horse or something like that? And then I'll give little cues. I don't give like major cues, kind of like just lean in a little bit more, give them a hug, that sort of a thing. I don't like say you've got to put your hand there, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. I'm not that sort of a photographer. I prefer it sort of a lot more natural.
Yeah, it felt like that. It felt like you were more sort of documentary sort of style, picking up what was happening, and almost being like, so it didn't feel posed and it didn't feel awkward, but it was almost like you would like take in all those sort of behind the scenes real photo.
Yeah.
Is that the same when you do dogs? Do you find?
It's a little bit trickier. I'm sort of getting used to that one a little bit more. So with that, it's kind of a case of you just have to kind of get them sitting. So as long as I can get them sitting and looking at me, then it's not as bad, sort of thing. So, but most of the time they're either standing or something like that, and that's not an issue because that is just what they do. You know, there was one the other day and they were lying down, so it's like I just take them while they're lying down because that was what they were doing at the time, and that's kind of bringing their personality out.
Yeah, because there's nothing worse than getting a photo and thinking, oh, I don't like the look. I don't look like that, or that doesn't feel like natural, or yeah. And so like a lot of it as well. Like I'm rubbish at photography. I'm really rubbish. I can barely get away with a photo on my phone. A lot of it is about the edit, isn't it? Like when it comes to photography.
Yeah, and that's something I've been sort of dealing with at the moment. I've sort of been practicing sort of changing my style because going back to when I did the film photography, you kind of couldn't change it. So it was kind of a case of you had to get the picture there and then, and that was like you could do a little bit of dodge and burn, and that was about all you could do.
Yeah.
So with it now, it's just like actually I like the darker kind of style with the sort of with the clouds in the background, the skies, that sort of thing. I do quite like the image quite close up, as such as in the subject. Sorry, is what sort of the subject kind of like a bit closer, and then you've got the background in there, the sky mainly. So that's the kind of thing I'm aiming for at the moment. So I'm just sort of finalising that one at the minute. So that's coming through now.
Yes, you're sort of working on getting that signature crafted style, and I guess. It does. It's like anything, isn't it? It's a journey. It's a process to find that. And I know a lot of equine photographers tend to go with sort of the rustic feel, the natural tones, a bit more washed out. How would you describe yours?
Like I say, I'm sort of trying to get a bit more muted tones in the background. I'm preferring kind of that coming through. So it's like your horse is more or less sort of how it should be kind of thing, and then your background's a little bit more muted. And then if I've got a dramatic sky or something like that, then I tend to bring that out. So it's kind of it's a little bit sort of there, getting there.
And I know like so one of your taglines is you have to remind me on this. I did write it down. Making
memory last a lifetime.
Make memory last a lifetime. Where did that come from? Like where?
Ooh, I can't actually remember, but I came out with it kind of like you're just doing something random, and it's like, ooh, that sounds really good. So I sort of went with that one because it's completely true. You're capturing a memory, and then you've got it to last for your whole lifetime. There's no reason why you should get rid of them. That is, but they're sort of there for your memories to last you forever.
I think that's quite actually sort of important, even like with what I do. A lot of what I do, like helping business owners, we do a lot of like vision work. We do a lot of thinking about like things that we're grateful for, and it's almost being able to pull up those images.
Yeah.
And I think for people that aren't so visual, they need that. Like it's almost like as a memory, do you know what, I've had that, and that can really help. Can help in so many different ways of improving just general life. I mean, I know I've got pictures from holidays and things, and I keep them around me just so that I can be grateful for those moments, but also to inspire me to keep being my best self. And I think that's really, really important. And photography is like even then, like the memories that pop up on your Facebook page, and you forget about them. And
I'm getting them with my boys at the moment, so I've got 2 little boys.
And it's really, and it can bring all sorts of emotions out, can't it? It can bring all sorts of, and there are moments and we all know we're not going to ever have our animals around us forever.
Yeah, exactly. That is the thing.
Yeah. So it's a good way to do that. So what would you say like has been the hardest part about running your business? Like you've had quite a few setbacks over the years, and with the children and.
Yeah, I think it's probably the stop-start, I think, for me, because going back, I had my degree in 2009. I should have sort of started then, but one thing led to another, and I ended up with like a full-time job. So I was in that for quite a few years, and then it was like I got stressed out and I decided to quit my job, and then I got pregnant soon after that. So I then suffered with morning sickness as well. So it was just like I just wasn't in the right headspace to kind of think about it. I'd done a few shoots, but it just wasn't feeling right. But then it was like, after I'd had him, it was like, I've got this degree, I need to do something with it. And it was like sort of bringing it all back together again.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of like I've tried to start up again, and then had my next little boy. So I've got an 8-month-old now. And so it's sort of trying to build it back up again, sort of continue running as such.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
trying to get going again.
it's quite hard as well. And I don't think men can appreciate, like, for us women, our identity, especially when we run our own business, it can be really sort of hard. It can be tricky with confidence and thinking, well, am I mum? Am I, especially when we've had to stop and start.
Yeah.
And like, how has that been for you? Like, how would you say that's been?
Been quite tricky, really. It's just sort of a case of I'm just doing bits and pieces as and when I can. So I've got I decided to send my eldest back to school, so I'm getting a little bit more free time sort of then, and then hopefully Max will nap. And then I'm sort of like working in those sort of little pieces, or if not, I'm sort of on calls, and if Chris is back and things like that, then I'll send him, and he can look after the kids type of things. So like now.
Yeah. And it can be really hard, because I think especially us creative entrepreneurial types, like when we've got that, we can get really impatient. Like, we just want it to happen now.
Yeah.
Do you ever find you get that sort of
Yeah,
sense?
I do feel a bit frustrated at times, if I'm honest. But I think it's just that stop starting, and it's just you need to get the name out there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then once that name's out there, it's a lot easier for you.
Yeah.
But it's putting the work in, and I'm kind of having to put that work in now to get that name out there.
Yeah, definitely. And sort of focus on who Laura V photography actually really is, and it's
Yeah,
hard, isn't it, when you're trying to juggle all the different hats of
yeah,
motherhood and just the general stuff that we have to do as
yeah,
wives, mothers, business owners.
yeah. The dogs.
Yeah. What would you like, if you were to give yourself like some tips, go back in time and give yourself a tip, like what would you say? What would you say
No, hindsight, valuable thing.
yeah, like your
It probably would have been start a lot earlier. I think mainly for me, just getting started and just knowing what I wanted to do. Because I think when I finished uni, I'd kind of I was all photographied out, because I'd done the year, I'd done the 2 years, I'd then done the 3 years. So putting that all together, I was just a bit like, I need a bit of a break, sort of thing.
yeah.
So I should have had my little break that I wanted to do, and then picked it up again. But yeah, as they say, hindsight, a valuable thing.
Fall into that trap where it kind of takes the passion out of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what had happened. It
Yeah.
just there wasn't a spark there.
And how did you get that back?
Well, I've started doing my contours project.
Yeah.
So that was just sort of a project for me, and with that, I quite like doing close-ups. So it's just showing the body of the horse in just different ways to what you'd normally see, because most people will just sort of do a headshot kind of thing, but it's sort of getting in close to the eye or getting close to the neck, that sort of thing, if they pull a shape, that sort of thing, and it's trying to capture that. So in the end, I'm hopefully this year, maybe next year, I'm not sure, we'll see how it goes. But I'm planning to do sort of prints and wall art with that one. So that is my end sort of game for that project anyway.
And sort of to get that, and I guess that's like, how do you've got to almost sort of, for that, you've got to see who that would suit and the project. And I guess a lot of horse lovers, even if they don't have horses, would be really happy to have a really good sort of project. So you've got a couple of other projects on the go, haven't you?
Yes, eyes is one of them that I'm doing. It's kind of in the planning stages, but it's more or less of sort of if I've been having clients and stuff like that, I've been doing the close-ups, which is what I want to do. So again, close-ups, and it's close-ups of them. So it's a case of, I'm not sure if I want to do in sort of portrait or whether I want to do it in sort of landscape, but the idea is that it will start from a brown eye, then go to a blue eye or wall eye, and then it will go on, and I've seen horses with sort of one eye, so I'm planning to incorporate those, and I have heard of a horse with no eyes. So I'm planning to kind of incorporate all of those ones, and then it will be sort of one big piece that it would end up being. So I don't know quite what the plan is at the end. I'll probably again do probably a print or something like that, or some wall art, something along those lines.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting just that you can get so many different colours within even brown. You know,
Yeah.
there's sort of like, because your one, she's got really light brown eyes, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and then the other one,
Yeah.
and then Nugget, wasn't it?
Yeah, very strange eyes. They're not, yeah,
Yeah,
not the usual dark ones that you'd expect to see
yeah,
in photography, which is quite nice. And I
yeah.
guess it sort of celebrates like actually how horses like see us, and see
Yeah,
the world, and their place in all of that.
yeah.
That's sort of what you're thinking along that
Yeah, yeah,
lines.
definitely. No, it's something that's interested me, really.
Mm.
I've always liked doing sort of close-ups of things, and eyes, they kind of say eyes see through to the soul. So I'm
Yeah,
just trying to bring their personalities out with that as well.
yeah. And I think there is that sort of that deep connection that we often get with
Yeah.
our horses, isn't it? So that'd be quite nice, a nice project, exciting to look at. So you mainly do like horse
Hmm.
photography, dogs,
Yeah.
shoots. Are they like on locations, or are they in houses? How do you normally set those out?
They're all on location because I'm a natural light photographer, so I don't have any studio setup or anything like
Mhm.
that. So I use the natural light, so it can be pretty much any location, sort of out and about. You can use your yard, you can use fields, it can just about anywhere. We can sort of take photos,
Mhm.
basically. So yeah, there's no issues sort of with there, and the same with the dogs. It's all sort of outside, and yeah, just get low down on the ground, and I'm good.
And so you're based in Norfolk,
Yeah,
but you travel all over the UK. Is that right?
yeah, 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 pretty much. Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
So
I guess you have to charge if you travel too
yeah,
far away, 'cause, it's quite a lot on top.
yeah.
And so you said you've got some other things that you were looking to do as well, because I guess being outside natural light is quite sort of tricky all year round. So you were saying you were looking at perhaps doing like shootings for.
Yeah, because most horses aren't really photographed in the winter. So my idea is that they've got the shoot season in the winter, which would then sort of cover that basically, and that sort of then incorporates the dogs as well. So that's kind of my
Yeah,
angle is kind of like the animals are still
yeah,
involved within that. So that's kind of my angle on
yeah,
that one as they're retrieving the birds, that kind of thing, and then obviously the poses they're shooting, that sort of thing. So I'm thinking, because it's not very common at the moment, so I've spoken to a few people that I know that are in the shoots, and they're sort of very interested in
yeah.
it. So I'm hoping that that will sort of tide me over the winter.
And it'll document a key part of just English life that I guess we
Yeah,
often don't see, and it's often
yeah,
sort of we don't see it unless you're in it, and so that'd be
mhm,
quite nice to help people to understand that
yeah,
part of rural tradition.
yeah.
And so, did you say you were looking to do some commercial work with businesses, or?
Yeah, that's something that I would like to sort of do a bit more maybe this year. So yeah, it's sort of, I can probably do more commercially side of things. So people sending me products, bridle, for example. I've then got a horse because I have a share horse, so I
Mhm.
can then sort of use her as a model, that sort of thing. Or I've got a few sponsored riders. They've got a few horses, so I can always incorporate those, that kind of thing. So it's like rugs, anything sort of like
Yeah,
that. So
you can
that's
get
that's the aim.
those real sort of lifestyle
Yeah.
pictures for brands. So if there's anybody with a brand that's listening, Laura might be just the person for you. So do you ever have you got any tips for anybody that was taking their own pictures? Like if they were taking their own pictures for their social media or whatever, what would your tips be?
Yeah. Get either on level with your subject or get below the level of your subject so that you're looking up at them.
Yeah.
That just puts them in a better light, sort of thing. And then yeah, if not, if it's like a dog or something like that, you'd need to be on sort of level with them, because you don't want to be looking down because that makes them look really small. So you
Mhm.
want to make them look as big as sort of possible, and then obviously showing whatever product it might be sort of off as well within that. And if it's like a horse with a bridle or something like that, just make sure all the keepers are in. It's just the little bits and pieces that you sort of have that you need to sort of look out for.
Yeah, I've been so guilty of that, taking a really good picture, and then when I've got home to look, I've gone like, keepers are out. That looks wonky. Yeah, so I guess it's having that eye for the detail.
Yeah.
And sort of knowing what you want. Do you often go to like take photos like with a very clear intention of what it is you're after from that picture, or do you just let it flow?
It's a bit of both, really. So I sort of, let's say, I kind of like try and get the person in a certain sort of position, but then if the horse like looks the other way or something like that, sometimes people are like, no, you've got to be looking this way, and it's like, no, if it wants to look that way, let it look that way, you know, because it does create good shapes and things like that. And then often you'll look at with the horse as well, and that often looks quite good when you're looking off into the distance. You're sort of dreaming of something, you know, together that you'd like to be running galloping off into the sunset, you know, that sort of thing.
I guess that's quite key. You want to capture that moment, almost like you can hear what the horse is saying, or hear what the rider's saying, or what they're thinking or feeling. And I think any images that can capture that make a big difference. Have you got one, like, is there a picture that you've taken that's been your all-time favorite that you still are really proud of?
I've got a few of those, but no, I think probably the one that's sticking out in my mind is a kind of like a close-up one that I did, and it's of a grey horse on a black background, and he's looking off to the right, and then I've got just his bum in sort of thing, and you can just see his eye sort of through the dip in his back.
Oh, so really, got the right angle, because I guess being too high, too low, that would have
that kind of plays into my being shortness.
So if anybody wants to have a look at some of your artwork, because it genuinely is, guys, like if you're listening or watching, it's art. It's Laura's style is very, very beautifully artistic. Like, I would quite happily hang it on my wall. In fact, probably will when we get some of those. I will be like, Laura, can you get me that one?
Of course, Jenny.
because the style is very, very different, and I think it's one thing that I love about equine photographers in general is you all seem like a really supportive bunch, like all like seem to really support each other, ask each other questions, get that, and stand in your own lane, really. Like that, I think every single, like, I could probably go and look at, I've worked with quite a few photographers, but go and look at some pictures and I could tell exactly whose was who.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would like to get across, that people can definitely tell the different styles between all the different photographers, and it would be nice to be known, like, that's Laura V's work, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's almost got your
One day.
your signature style. And I know that when we took our photos recently the other day, and there was you and other Laura, that I planned to sort of show how it's the same picture, like my picture that was rubbish on the iPhone, and then your photo, and just to show that we can all take the same picture and it would be differently from everybody.
Yeah, because we were standing at different angles and things like that, weren't we?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure the way that you edit and you crop it and everything else is very unique. So I can't wait to get that blog post. So if you're listening in the future, it may well be on jennybush.com to go and have a look at that. But if anybody wants to find out some more about you, Laura, where do they need to head? Where's the best?
On website, so that's www.lauravphotography.co.uk. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, both under Laura V Photography. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm not using that as much, but I am there.
Brilliant. And hopefully I will try and share some of your photos as well on my feed, so along with this podcast, so that if anybody wants to get to Laura, you can really quickly, as well as it will be in the show notes. So go and give Laura some love. Go and have a look at her amazing photos. Go make sure you like and comment on all of those on your favorite social platform. And if you are looking for a photographer for the near future, do consider Laura, definitely. So thank you so much for joining me today, Laura. I hope you've enjoyed
Thanks for having me.
the episode, and I will speak to you very, very soon. I'm going to end the broadcast. Oh, help me. Okay. and this is the intro for Equine Business TV.